Our theme tonight is joy. That's the theme. So you can see we've got all of our Christmas services are themed this year: joy, hope, peace, and love, which we think is the Christmas message. But tonight it's joy, and you might just reflect for a second that that is not a word that you say very often. That's gone probably a little bit out of our vocabulary, if I can say that right. It sounds a little bit wet. It sounds a little bit safe, this idea of joy. Somebody like a vicar who's doing a bit of crocheting and celebrating that moment might use the word joy, but the rest of us probably steer away from joy. But just listen on for this definition of what joy is, and then I think you might go, oh, I think actually I could do with some joy in my life. So this is a definition of joy, and they were all like brilliant definitions, but here's the one I'm going to use. Joy is the inner radiance that arises when your deepest sense of being recognizes something undeniably good, meaningful, or life-giving. When was the last time you had some joy in your life, people? Look at that. Joy is inner. Has anyone got inner radiance? I think I had it when Leeds got that last-minute equaliser the other night. Just a bit of inner radiance, but it quickly fluttered away when I had to do the washing up. Inner radiance, because that's not what joy is. Joy is, it's like this idea that it lasts a little bit longer. It comes from somewhere deeper. It's more honest, more truthful. It's like happiness, but it doesn't float away when you dig around at what joy means. It's more wholesome, more enduring. And it's like happiness in the sense that you don't get it when you just go after it. Do you know that idea with happiness? If you just want to be happy, you can't be happy, can you? Happiness and joy are things that come along the way. We've got a quote by a guy, I think I referenced him even last week. Viktor Frankl wrote a book about happiness, survived the Holocaust. If anyone can write a book about happiness, it's Viktor Frankl who survived the Holocaust. And what he says underneath that is just that point. Happiness can't be chased after. It must ensue. You can't pursue it. It comes out of other things. It's an unintended side effect of a personal cause, dedication to a cause greater than yourself. I don't know if you heard the George Bernard Shaw quote, or you were tuned into the George Bernard Shaw quote. This week I was scrolling. At the time I should have been prepping a sermon. Maybe it was God who moved. I was doom scrolling or just endlessly scrolling, and Jeff Goldblum, who I think's ace, popped up, and it was just on a chat show, and the chat show host said, "How do you keep your energy, Jeff?" Maybe he didn't say that, but that kind of thing. And for a second, Goldblum sort of paused, and then he said, "Do you know what? I always come back to this quote by George Bernard Shaw, and let me just remind you of some of it. The true joy in life, how do we get to joy? Something along the way. Being used for a purpose, recognized by yourself as a mighty one." That's where joy comes from. When you recognize for yourself something that is mighty, a mighty cause. Then he goes on to say, "I'm of the opinion that my life belongs, to the whole community. Life is a splendid torch. I want to make it burn. I don't feel like this, certainly in the mornings. Occasionally, mid-afternoons, I have a bit of this kind of energy. I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. Joy doesn't come from looking for joy." This is what I'm putting to you anyway. If you want some Christmas joy, joy comes from purpose. I think that's what George Bernard Shaw's getting at. Find a purpose. Joy comes from belonging. I want to find myself, devote myself to a community. Joy comes from finding your people, knowing that you belong. And the last thing I think that the quote sort of heads towards at the end is joy comes from being part of a bigger story. From being part of a bigger story. So I'm not going to labor over all these points. This is a short, for those of you who come regularly, it's going to be a truncated sermon. If you don't come to church at all, please stay. I won't be very long. But I'm going to give you some Christmas joy via an explanation. And there's mulled wine afterwards. I know there wasn't mulled wine before. It's non-alcoholic. That might also help with a little bit of Christmas joy. Listen again. I don't know if the text could go up, to the message that Paul read out from the Christmas angels. There were shepherds living in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them. I love this bit, because the angel clearly says this because they were terrified. And often when you read the Bible, an angel comes, it's not joy, it's like terrifying. They're all terrified. So the angel says, don't be afraid now that you're terrified. I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all the people. Today, the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He's Christ the Lord. In that message, purpose, belonging, bigger picture. What is the best bit about your Christmas? Just indulge yourself for a wee second. What is the best? I think mine is knowing that eating double figures of pigs in blankets is somehow legitimate on Christmas Day, and nobody's going to bat an eyelid. Well, maybe they'll bat an eyelid, but I'll get away with it. What's the best bit about your Christmas? About the Christmas story? I'm going to propose to you that Christmas means that there is a purpose. There is a sense of belonging to be had, and there's a story to be part of. So real quick, joy comes with purpose. So I've been chaplain at Tigers now for 10 or 11 years, something like that. So I've seen a few. I haven't seen much of this pre-season, hands up. I haven't been along in these freezing cold conditions. But I've seen some hill sessions in my times. I've seen them going through it. And certainly at the start, I did wonder a little bit if you were all just sadists, if you were like chased after pain, if there was something weird going on, because the coaches seem to like inflicting pain, but weirder than that, the players seem to have this weird enjoyment for going through that just this like inner like, yes, I'm going to do this, I'm going to show them what's going on. And hills is that every time I think about getting fit, I see rugby players doing hills, and I just think that just looks impossible. And yet, all those things ring true. The coaches seem to revel in it, and the players seem to get joy from it. And it reminded me, I don't know if you know much about your Greek mythology, but their picture of the worst place of hell, the worst corner of hell, is a myth that involves a guy called Zeus sent Sisyphus into eternal torment. And basically he said to him, you've got to run up hills till your soul gets destroyed. That's basically pre-season training at Cass. Run up hills till your soul is destroyed, and yet they've got these weird, the coaches don't seem to mind, they've got these weird grins on their faces, and the players even revel in it. What is that about? George Bernard Shaw said, true joy is being used for a purpose, recognized by yourself as a mighty one. I can only think that people putting themselves, the coaches inflicting it and the players rallying around and committing to it, have got a purpose. They must have bought in to a bigger purpose. And buying into that bigger purpose enables almost anything, even, I will put it to you, joy in the most horrific circumstances. The Christmas story starts off, start of all the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, drawing our eyes, pretty much, to a broken, fractured world. That's the Christmas story at the start. Evil King Herod, people fleeing, mass persecution, abused people, fractured societies. Does it sounds familiar? It's not gone away. And the angel comes, and the angel's message, so if you remember back to the text, or if you can see the text, it's not everything's going to be grand. Let me just bring you a bit of holy comfort just now and tell you everything's going to be fine. Sit tight, get back to bed, it's all going to be okay. It's not that. The message is, you need help. And here is help. A savior is born. That's how they refer to Jesus, a savior, because you need saved. Because there's a problem with human beings, is the story of Christmas in the Bible. There's lostness and brokenness that runs really deep. I don't know if you've ever thought about the world in that sense. Like, it's frustrating and it's painful to see it, but actually the lostness and brokenness, finding a cure for that, it runs so deep, doesn't it? And the Christmas message would say to us and to the shepherds listening and the wise men and everybody else, you need saved from that. Today there is fracture, there's hurt, there's hate, lots of good stuff as well, but it doesn't get us away from a brokenness that seems to persist. It exists out there, and quite often, speaking from personal experience, it exists in here as well. And as a human race, one of the things I'd put to you is we don't ever really get to the bottom of that. We've not really ever got to the bottom of why that is. And yet, we don't give up on it, do we? We don't give up on the idea of restoration. We don't lose hope in the idea, holding out that one day the 10 o'clock news will be good. All of it will be good, not just the weather in the summer, but the whole thing will be good. We hang onto it. And the Christmas story says to us, nor should we. We should hold on to it. There is a mighty purpose. There is a mission. There is something worth holding onto. And to get that, to grasp hold of that purpose, that's what the Christmas story says. That's how to find that joy that we referenced at the start. One of my strategies for coping with a messed up world, and this is genuine, I go for a run. Whether it's messed up in my house, go for a run then. I actually go for a run a lot, and it's not ever to really keep fit. It's just to get away from brokenness and fracture. When the world gets too much for me, what I try and do is shut it out. And Tim Keller, who's a fairly well-known American Christian speaker, he said this about thinking like that. He says, you don't find joy, and I guess this is just a challenge to you all. Think about this. You don't find joy by escaping the world's need. You won't find joy there. Although I must admit, sometimes when I'm out for a run, it feels pretty good. Tim Keller says, you don't find joy by escaping the world's need. Instead, you find joy by stepping into God's mission in it. A little challenge for you. Find your purpose. Loving the Cast Tigers energy this season. I love the purpose. I love the determination. Find your purpose in the Christmas story. Second thing, joy comes with belonging. The angel says at the start of this story that the good news is exclusively for one tribe. Did you see that? Don't say that, does it? The angel says at the start of this story, in all this brokenness, the good news is for all people. Christmas story starts with, and I over-champion my working class roots. I over-egg, all of that. Somebody laugh then. I do, but I really believe in all that. But I love that the Christmas story starts with shepherds, and it goes out to all the other ordinary people, all of the outcasts. I love that about the Christmas story. It restores my soul, as it were. And as Jesus lives, as the Christmas story starts and it's birthed, that story carries on. Jesus goes out to outcasts, all the sick, all the people that are forgotten in the world. It's a real mission. It begins with ordinary people being shown that they're important too. God starts to speak through shepherds. The start of the Christmas story, as this underscore sort of foundation says, you matter, and you matter, and you matter. The outsiders get brought in, get a sense of belonging, and get given a place in this story of God. And I would say to you that matters. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's definitely the case for me. Belonging, I would say, is one of our deepest human needs. The idea that we belong, that we can be loved and cared for despite all of our mess-ups and concerns. It's interesting, isn't it, that in our culture, the Christmas dinner is such a big deal. It's massively important to us, isn't it? Who's there, who's not there, that it all goes well. We obsess about this. Why do we obsess about this? Because we want to belong. We want a table that looks at us, our mothers, our siblings, our families, our wider families, where we can sit down and go, yeah, these are my people. They love me, even though I forgot to get so-and-so a present, or I messed up last week, or whatever else. There is a sense of belonging. That as people, we love that. Since I've gotten into rugby about 10 years ago, so I've come from footy to rugby. I still love footy, still love football, but also now like rugby. And some of the nuances of rugby I really, really love. So they don't die for a start, or not yet, but maybe that'll happen. But one of the things I love the most is when a player messes up and is immediately embraced by other players, like on the team, even though they've really messed up, like literally dropped the ball. Other players run over and, like in a masculine, I love you, but I'm just going to slap you around the face kind of way, they give him a hug. Before the person that's messed up has even really had a chance to think about it, they are told, you still belong. And it's not because dropping the ball is not really important. I've sat in on the odd meeting when I've seen how many stats they have about dropping the ball and everything else. I know it's a nightmare to drop the ball, but what might be just as important as dropping the ball is that overarching sense that you still belong. Somebody's got your back. Somebody's going to stand in the line with you. And there's so much power in that. I love that when I see that in the game. It's one of my favorite things about rugby. There is power in belonging. There's power in knowing that you're valued above what you can offer in the moment. I would suggest that sense of belonging is something that we ache for. We might look back through rose-tinted glasses at having it perhaps in our communities years gone by. That sense of belonging, that sense of being neighbourly, people looking out for you. Maybe we did have it a bit more than we've got it now, but we ache for it. We'd love our towns to have more sense of belonging. We need it in our teams. There's so much team building and bonding happens. There's so many stats and get fit at Cast Tigers, but there's also this huge emphasis on we need to be tight. We need to know that we love each other. Perhaps, maybe that's not the language that anyone's going to use, but we need to know that we're going to stand alongside each other, do anything for each other. And if we're blessed enough to have a family that just loves us, not everybody's circumstance, despite who we are, we can have joy around the Christmas table. The Christmas table can be a word that we might not use very often, joyous thing. We sit down, we know that we are loved, and we have joy. We celebrate something deep within us that we know is not going to go away. It's not momentary. It's deep joy. The foundation of the Christmas story, another thing that I love about it, it levels the ground of the rich and the poor. It completely levels all that. The strong and the weak, levels it all. Those with a shady past and those with a spotless past. The Christmas story levels all of that ground. It brings shepherds to the same table as kings. It puts outcasts with saints. It is good news for everybody. All of us lot finding our way in the world. Christmas story says that you belong. You're not an accident. There's some planning gone into who you are. There is love for you that is unconditional. You don't stand alone. Joy comes with purpose. Joy comes with belonging. Last one. Joy comes with living in the bigger story. The shepherds were terrified. Everybody that sees angels in the Bible stories, they don't go, oh yeah, great, there's an angel. They're all terrified. They fall to the floor. Don't know how you get on with belief in all of that, but they're terrified. And I think you have got two questions. Can I believe that it happened? And why? Why did we need the spectacle? Why did we need the heavenly hosts? Why has our Christmas trees got angels on them? Why have we got this backstory of a heavenly host? Just consider a verse. I don't think it's up on the screen, but I can read it out for you. This verse these were words spoken in advance of Jesus coming. Prophecy is what we call it. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. One of the things that the Christmas story is, that it says, and you can I think part of the way you can see it is with the angels, but there's lots of other ways you see it in the Christmas story. It's this idea that the curtain of our normal lives, of reality, if you like, is just drawn back. The light has dawned. That's one of the pictures we get with the Christmas story. And it's drawn back just enough for these shepherds, and I would say for us, to show that our world, as we experience it, is part of something vast, something beautiful, something, at least from my perspective, that will go on and on and on, a bigger story. How did Shaw say that he found joy? The last point. Really cool idea. He says, life is no brief candle to me. It's a kind of splendid torch, which I have got hold of for the moment. And I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. Here's the gist of what he's saying. Knowing what you do lasts. If you know what you do matters outside of yourself for a longer period of time than you'll be here, it can really spark you into life. It can be a total joy game changer for you. If you know the purpose that you are here for, if you are invested in it, and if you know that that will speak to a bigger story, it can make you burn bright. As I've watched all sport, not particularly cast or rugby, one of the things that you see across team sports is that some people play for themselves. They maybe even will say that, I play for myself. Other players will play for the team. They'll play for a bigger group of people than themselves. Some players won't just play for the team, but it gets really, really lovely, I think. They'll play for their families. They'll play for their heritage. They'll play for the team, and they'll play for their heritage. Some players play for the team, their heritage, and for their whole country. What a game changer that is when you think that when you put the jersey on, you're not just playing for yourself, but you're representing all of your people. Some supporters go to games just for a night out, just to get away from it all. I'm just going to have a night out, need to get away from it all. Some supporters go to games because they are totally invested in the story of the club. They've got history. They've got a burning passion, not just whether they win that night or whether they get to have a beer that night, but actually about the whole big story. They know that they are part of something bigger, and it changes the joy experience. Christmas says there's a bigger story. Your life has got a place in that bigger story. Christmas says that your choices matter. Your presence matters. Your hopes and your dreams matter. And if you know all of that, then joy comes.